Hi friends, once you have drawn your beautiful rainbow ice cream cone, if you have watercolors and would like to paint your rainbow ice cream cone, you can. Now, usually in the watercolors you have every color of the rainbow on there for you, but we're going to try mixing our own colors too. So we're just going to be using the primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, and we're going to try to make orange, green, and purple. Now sometimes it might need a little bit of help when mixing, so we can add some of those colors to it, but I'm going to show you how you can make your own colors. So once you have drawn your ice cream cone, you have 6 scoops of ice cream for each color of the rainbow, and you've traced with the black marker. Now I'm going to use some water and I'm going to paint. So I'm going to start with my red ice cream cone. I'm making sure I get a good amount of paint on here. And I can paint right over top of those sprinkles that I made. Making sure I have a nice, vibrant color. And again, if you want your color even darker, just add some more paint to your paintbrush. All right, once I'm done my red, I'm gonna make sure I clean out my paintbrush really well. So next color we're going to do is orange, but instead of using the orange, we're going to mix our own orange. So how we're going to do this is we're going to mix red and yellow together, okay? I'm going to start with the color yellow, and then I'm going to mix the red to it. And if it needs any more red, we will, or yellow to it after we're done, we can add it. So let's start with the lighter color. Okay, and again, I'm gonna color right over top of my chocolate sauce. Clean out my paintbrush. Now I'm gonna take a little bit of red, okay? All right, I'm gonna blend that red in with that. Okay, it's not quite the orange I want it to be. I am going to add some more yellow. Okay. And then I'm going to add some more red to it. Kind of go back and forth mixing the two together until I get the orange that I want. Okay. We have our orange. If you're not happy with your orange, we can always say, you know what, why don't we use a little bit of the orange that's already made for us here? And we can add that to our picture. Kind of makes it a little bit brighter, but we can say we tried. All right, we have our orange. Now I'm going to clean out my paintbrush. We're going to use our yellow. Make sure your paintbrush is really cleaned out, because you don't want to have any leftover color in there. My red, orange, yellow. Now we're going to make our green. How we're going to make green is we're going to mix blue and yellow together. I'm going to start with my darker color this time. Not getting too dark. Let's start with our blue first. Remember, you mix those primary colors to make your secondary colors. So we can't actually mix the primary colors, which is really interesting. You can definitely play around with making those colors lighter or darker, but we can't actually mix them. So let's start with our blue. Okay, and now I'm going to clean out my paintbrush and I'm going to grab some yellow. Okay, and I'm going to mix it in. More yellow. I want to clean out my paintbrush a little bit more. Definitely making green. Okay, add a little bit more blue. Kind of going back and forth, kind of getting that green that I want. Again, we do have green already here for us if we want to just mix that in. Make it a little bit more greeny. We can. All right. So we have a red, orange, yellow, green. Now we're going to use blue. Taking your time, getting inside the lines. And now we're going to do purple. I'm going to paint all of it red first because I want my cherry to be red anyways. So we're going to start with that red. Blue to make purple. I'm going to paint this little drop first, and then I'm going to mix in that blue. Do you think making the color purple, oops, I painted over top of my cherry, that's okay. I do think that making the color purple sometimes can be a little hard, trying to get those colors correct, but that's actually not too bad. That's a pretty good purple right there. I'm not going to add any purple to it. I am going to go back and try to make my cherry more red though. See, we all make mistakes. Splendid, there's my red cherry. I'm going to clean up the paintbrush. Now we're going to make our brown cone. Now we can make the color brown by mixing all three primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, okay? Now, I will say this can be tricky sometimes. So I'm going to start with the blue. Doesn't matter what color you start with. Just sometimes changes the shade of brown depending on how much of each color you use. So here's my blue. Now let's do our red. So remember, those two colors make purple, same color as the last one we did. Okay. Alright, and then one more yellow, and if it's not the shade of brown you want, you can play around with, keep adding those other colors. It's definitely brown. Okay. Alright, and there is my brown cone. And if you get a little too much paint on there, you can always take a paper towel and just dab some of that color off just so you can see some of those lines a little bit better. I might go in and add a little bit more. And depending on if you add more red or yellow, you can kind of change. Like when I had more blue on there, it looked like a darker brown. When I add more yellow, it looks like a lighter brown. You just can play around with what shade of brown you want it to be. Alright. And there we have it. We have our rainbow ice cream cone. If you want to paint the background, you can. You could do a blue sky. You could do all the colors of the rainbow and do confetti in the background. It's completely up to you. But we have our red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and brown. Great job, friends.